Well, I haven't done a video in quite a while, and I'm just watching some videos by a guy called CycleCruza. Put a link in the description. And he did a video about riding in the rain. He's not a, in short, he's not a proponent of riding in the rain. He feels it's dangerous, more dangerous, and he just doesn't do it unless he's caught out or whatever. And I thought I'd do a video about my own take on this, because I guess if you guys watch my videos, you'll know that I do quite a bit of riding in the rain. And I'd say off the top that I have to agree with them. There's no, the surface hazards are greater, the options are less, so it is dangerous. It is more dangerous than riding the dry, and given the choice, I would obviously much prefer to ride when it's dry. But where I live, I looked this up actually before coming out, it's 44% of the days in Vancouver it's raining. So at 44%, if you don't ride in the rain in Vancouver, you don't ride very often in general. Most people, and a lot of people in Vancouver, they don't. They put their bikes away in the winter, which cuts out a lot of that, and then in the summer when it's raining, they just don't go out. I think what trips people up about riding in the rain and gets them into trouble is that they don't do it enough. It's they get out of practice. They stop thinking about the hazards, and they ride like they're riding in the dry in the rain, and that's what I think produces a lot of the problems. So yeah, in the rain, you have fewer. In some ways, you have fewer options. At night, you have even fewer. If you wipe out in the rain at night, dressed in black, it's very likely someone's going to run you down, right? So, I guess you can wear reflective clothing and stuff, which I would at night in the rain. But and when I ride in rain in general, I like to have high vis shit on. Like I have this high vis jacket on. It's game over if your safety plan requires other people to see you. But hey, you might as well. It's not gonna hurt. I keep very easy obviously on the brakes. I use a lot of back brake in the dry. I actually almost exclusively use the front brake when it's dry out. Although sometimes I force myself to use the back a bit, just so I'm in the habit of moving the foot over. Because if you get in the habit of, for you guys who live in California or something where you hardly ever get rain, you might want to consider getting in the habit of using the back brake even when it's dry. Otherwise, when it rains, you're not going to think about it. You're just going to immediately go for the front brake. So I guess in part it may be building habit, but I'm aware, of course, of the first half hour after rain starts. But that's not highly applicable in Vancouver as well, because we don't get long stretches of no rain, so the roads are generally pretty clean. Whereas if you're in California, where it hasn't rained for months, and there's all that oil buildup, you better believe it when it starts raining. It's going to be oily as hell. It happens occasionally in Vancouver, and sometimes what I do is I drag my feet a bit. Like when I get out there, I'll rub my feet around on the ground at stoplights to gauge just how slick the surface is. But you got to ride like you're totally on eggshells. Remember how you used to ride when you first got your license? Ride like that. So I made this video, and then I uploaded the whole freaking thing, right? It's like, okay, this isn't too bad. I'll upload it. I haven't uploaded anything in a while, so I feel like I kind of owe you guys. But anyway, I upload this video, and then I start to think about it. One of the things I said it, and I don't think it's correct, you know, and so now I don't even know what the answer is. I guess I should just tell you what I'm talking about first of all. Would probably be the best way to go about this. But so what I was talking about is in the rain. What I've been doing, one of the things I do in the rain is when I go around corners, instead of leaning the bike, I wait out. And I guess my thinking was that I am asking for less traction by waiting out and keeping the bike upright than if I were to lean the bike and just stay, you know, centrally seated on the bike. Because, you know, when you go around a corner, you can either, you know, lean the whole bike, or you can leave the bike up and move yourself over. Either way, you're moving the center of mass out, whatever is required to go around that corner. But ultimately, the amount of side force on the tire that has to be met is defined by the radius of the curve. You know, it's not, and how fast you're going. It's not dictated on whether you're moving the bike or yourself to move the center of mass over. As long as the center of mass gets moved over, you know, that's the main thing. That's the only thing, actually. So I guess my question to you is, does this help? Now, the only way it could help would be if it somehow altered the coefficient of friction of the tire, and that could be it may actually be worse, you know, because I have a 2-compound tire, so the outer edges are actually softer and theoretically should have a larger coefficient of friction. So if I'm not getting onto those areas of the tire, then perhaps I'm actually have less traction than if I did lean the bike over. You know what I mean? So it's all very complicated. I don't know if you guys have any input on this or not, but I was kind of left with I don't know whether this is a good thing or not. In the past, I rode out to the ferry once at night in the rain, and reviewing the video later, I'll show you guys a clip of it, but reviewing the video later, it looked a lot more harrowing than I remember it being, partly because the video just doesn't see as much at night as the human eye, so it looks like there's, you know, you can't see anything at all, when in reality the visibility was much better than it appears to be. That's a little unsettling, huh? The thing that bugged me about it is that if I were to fall off in that situation, for whatever reason, I mean, even if you do everything right, there could be some debris on the road, or something could fly off a vehicle. I mean, you know, there's always a reason why you can go down, dry or wet. And if that had happened, then what my options would be quite limited with respect to not getting run over, because there's not, you know, I'm sure I have my vest on and shit, but can you actually rely on your fellow man not to run you over at night in the rain? No. You really can't. I ride in the rain at night all winter long, you know, going to work and back, but I choose to go to work at 6 in the morning, so there's hardly any other cars. So in my mind, it's safer to ride in the rain at night to work with few cars, if any cars, as opposed to riding during the day in rain, would be my other option, with a shitload of cars, if I want to get to work that way. Obviously it's safer to take the bus, but I don't like to take the bus. Another thing that I kind of disagreed with what Motocruza said, not from any personal experience, but just from I guess, reading online and a couple of YouTube videos. And so I guess my own thoughts about it is, if you get caught in rain, like a torrential downpour, and you're on the highway, and you want out, I would recommend an exit rather than sitting under a bridge. You don't want to be anywhere near the road because people are incapable of aiming their vehicles between lines, right? So and there's so many on a highway, it's almost inevitable someone will stray over that line and hit your bike. So if you absolutely have to, get as far away from your bike. Even this goes for, I guess, if you break down as well. Get as far away from your bike as possible. Get your bike as far off the road as possible, and then get the hell away from your bike. Get over the guardrail if you can, right? Because it's just friggin' dangerous. I don't think I would just pull off to the side of the road and sit on the bike with my back to traffic. That's for sure. Oh, I forgot to mention, one of the worst things about riding in the rain is cleaning the bike. You gotta clean the bike. Bike gets dirty. It does get dirty. Your clothes get dirty if you're behind cars and shit. All that kind of crap that gets thrown up gets on you and gets all over your helmet and that's probably maybe the worst thing about riding in the rain. The other thing I see a lot of people say is if you ever ride your bike in the rain, you have to immediately grease your chain, which for me that would be like every day I would be friggin' greasing the chain. I don't think it's quite that. Obviously it's a matter of extent. If you're like me and you ride in the rain, I don't know, what is that, like half an hour a day kind of thing, to and from work, then maybe you have to, I don't know, I still oil the chain, every 500-600 kilometers, and I have yet to see any sort of rust form or anything like that on the chain. The chain looks fine as far as I can tell, so I'm gonna have to go with not required. They also say to oil your clutch cable and shit like that, which I make a very small. I don't really do this shit. I probably should do more of it, but occasionally I will throw some oil in the linkages or whatever. A lot probably depends on your bike as well. If your bike is a 1960 some or other, then their idea of corrosion protection in the 60s is not really quite the same as what you would find on a 2010 whatever, right? So it's probably going to be less of an issue with your 2010 Suzuki whatever than it will be with your 1965 Suzuki whatever.